everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carla, and in this video I'll decorate an envelope and make a Penpal letter for Elizabeth. Fair warning, you will probably see some material that has been used to create the letter from the previous video. That is because I made the two projects during the same crafting time, but I actually started on this one first. As usual, the first step for me is to choose an envelope. Since it has been quite some time since I've received Elizabeth's last letter, I feel the need to send her a packed one, so I chose the big envelope for this. Then, to make things easier for myself, I got a nice big pattern paper to cover up the massive, scary blankness of the envelope. And I used some matching color washi tape to make up for the little missing part at the bottom. Now, for the decorative elements and making all the layers. Of course, I started to search for different elements in this very big sticker book. And this is because I bought this with the intention of using all the stickers, so I should really start on that task. Unfortunately, I didn't find anything that I liked in here, so I moved on to one of my big paper stashes. This handmade paper caught my attention. This was the result of an experiment where I added different colors while making some paper, and although I don't really remember what color I was trying to get, I can tell you that it wasn't this one. Regardless, I couldn't just throw these away, as it often happens with most of my things, so I kept it, and I know that I need to find ways to start using these types of things. I quite like the combination between the background paper and this handmade paper, so I thought it would be a good time to at least use a little bit of it. Lately, I noticed that I've also been using quite a lot of these doilies in my projects. I think that they have become a safe material for me to use, and I might be getting too dependent on them. So I will try to avoid them in my next project. When I'm unsure on how to move on, I just start taking out everything I think would fit the kind of project I'm working on. This is why my desk always becomes such a mess all the time, and why I'm constantly spending time rearranging and organizing everything around me. After some testing, I went with a kind of vintage look and found a scrap of a music book and half a book page that looked perfect together. While browsing the papers, I also found the envelope where I keep all the die cuts I made maybe a year ago, And just as the handmade paper, I thought that I needed to use them as well. I am still trying to use most of the things that I own, and I really want to clear space away for the new things that should be coming up. Yeah, so I chose to add a few of these die cuts to the envelope. By now it can be easily spotted that I am still missing a girl sticker as a focal point. This is something that I have also been gravitating towards in my last envelope decorations. So I went back to this sticker book of vintage fashion to try to find one that would both match the envelope style and also kind of pop up. And red being one of my favorite colors, I chose this lady in red and cut out the extra sticker away. I was almost ready to start gluing everything in place when I realized that it might be hard to write the address in this handmade paper, not only because it would absorb the ink, making my handwriting kind of blurry, it's also a fragile paper, and I couldn't think of a pen that I could use where I could make the address legible. So what I did was I grabbed some leftover square type paper and ripped all the sides of it to make a nice address label while still having the handmade paper popping from beneath it. And now it is time to glue everything in place. As you can see, I keep trying to keep every element in the place that I originally thought of. And for some of the pieces, I either glue a little to mark its spot, or I make some type of mark, like right here, that I can use to guide me. And of course, there are other elements that would look okay, even if they are not exactly where I had planned for them to be. I am also a little bit stubborn with this glue. First of all, it had dried, that's why nothing was coming out, and then I used the pin that's actually kind of the lid to unblock it, and then there was quite a small amount of glue inside the little flask, so it takes quite a while for that glue to come down to the tip. And yes, I do have some extra and I have already refilled this because it got a little bit annoying in the end. Finally, as a last touch, I use some vintage stamps to add a few more details and sparks of color to the envelope. These are actually some extra stamps that I have, and they don't really belong to my main collection, so I'm quite happy to use them in creative projects or to share them with my pen pals. I chose a few that had this kind of old red and brown colors, so they would not only make the red dress pop a little bit more, but also match the general brownish vintage theme of this envelope. And the envelope is done. Now we can move on to the project itself, and for this one I wanted to use this paper I've had with me for more than 4 years. This was a part of, I think it was the first time ever, block of pattern paper that I got back when I was in Lund and had just started to Penpal. At the time, I didn't want to buy anything expensive nor have a lot of new material, so I got these from a secondhand shop. I still think that secondhand shops are a really good way to find crafting material, pretty papers, supplies, and even stamps or other things. The only thing I regret was that I was at the time too eager to get my hands on anything that I could use to create letters or making pretty projects, and I didn't really understood my own style or the things that I liked using. So I ended up buying things that I still have because they don't really spark any interest for me. But at this moment, since I don't think it would be something worth donating again, and I don't want to just throw these things away, I have decided to still use these types of things and papers on my project and just cover the parts that I'm not really interested in. So in this case, it would be covering up basically everything that mentions mom or mother, and also everything that becomes upside down while make it into the flip book. Now, since I don't have any of those big circular hole punchers to make these type of half moon cut out in the pockets, whenever I want to have something like this, I just improvise and grab whatever I have around me that is at an okay size, and I just kind of use them to draw half circles or whatever shape needs to be done, and then I just cut it out. Basically for this flip book, I just folded the paper in half and then in 3 equal parts sideways. I added double-sided glue tape to create the different pockets that I was interested in having. In this case, I made 2 top pockets for bigger pieces of papers or bigger items that I want to give away, and 2 side pockets that I am now realizing I completely forgot existed when I added the goodies. But well, that happens, and the good thing is that I still have not sent this out at the moment that I'm recording this voiceover, so I will go back to this project and fix this. In any case, these two smaller pockets were meant for the washi tape samples. So I still struggle with this double-sided tape. If anyone that watches this video has any tips or tricks that don't require me to spend 2 to 3 minutes trying to release the protection of this tape, please let me know. Once everything is folded and glued together, it's time to start covering up the parts I don't really like so much, and maybe adding some more places to add goodies to. For some reason, I still think that there should be something more than decoration in each page of the flickbook, but this is probably because I'm not very good at decorating. And don't get me wrong, I love receiving flipbooks that have pages just with decorations because I think they look amazing. I just don't think mine do. Although the paper I used for this flipbook had many colors, they were mostly quite soft pastel tones, which I think did not clash too much with the brown vintage style that I had started on the envelope. So I kind of tried to match the decorations and the extra papers to this type of style. Going back to the second-hand shop purchases, I haven't found, at least for now, a second-hand shop in or near the Stockholm area that had some crafting materials. So, I don't know if there's anyone seeing this or listening to this that is from around here and knows of such a place. Could you please drop down and comment and let me know? I have visited my fair share of second-hand stores in Lund and other places in Skåne, and I've also been to a few in Stockholm and some of the neighboring cities around here. And to be honest, I've always been quite disappointed at their book section and stationery section. Most of them don't really have a stationery section, and the book section on the majority of them is either quite poor in the variety of books or not so well organized. It's not that easy to find different types of books. This is honestly probably the one thing I miss about Lund. It's this one huge secondhand shop that they had where I could always find different types of books, regardless if I went there 2 weeks in a row or if I waited some time to revisit. And they always had a stationery section with different materials. I always felt like I was treasure hunting, and this was also the place where I started buying postage stamps. So I can say that this is where my philately collection began, to be honest. But of course, considering that within the last few years I tried not to buy a lot of things, maybe the lack of these types of shops around me is a blessing in disguise. It's gonna mean less temptation and less things for me to buy. And speaking of buying things, I can say that since I published the last video, I did succumb to the temptation and I ordered the Your Creative Studio subscription box for 3 months. So I'm currently waiting to hear back from them on the shipment of the first box. And this has triggered some kind of feeling that now I really want to buy more stuff that I don't need. Especially considering the amount of papers I still have to work with. Coming back to the project, now that I have covered all the full pages I needed to, it's time to make the smaller adjustments. I started by trying to find a piece of paper to cover the words mom and love that were also upside down, and make a small pocket at the same time. I still find it quite fascinating and a little bit disconcerting that I still have some of the papers that I bought the first time ever that I bought any papers to do Penpal letters. And I keep wondering how long is it really going to take me to destash or declutter all of this, or how many projects do I have to make in order to substantially reduce the amount of papers I have. But it is a challenge I am willing to take on, and I have some plans that I'm excited to work on. So after searching for a while, I ended up choosing this old book page to cover those 2 words. Of course, the first time I tried to rip it off, it didn't work as planned, but that's why we have a lot of these, so we can try again. Then I'm just making sure that I'm cutting the sides of it and the bottom to the appropriate size that I want this little pocket to be. And then I will glue it to the project. Then, right next to it, there was also some upside down writing that needed to be covered up. For this one, I took out one of my envelope templates and used it to make an envelope. I checked that it would have the appropriate size to cover all the writing, and then tried to choose a paper that would look okay in this place. These envelope templates I cut out on cardboard are what has kept me and still keeps me from buying an envelope punch board. So I'm pretty sure that I got this envelope shape from a secondhand shop purchase where I got several different kind of vintage style envelopes to use. And what I've done was that I just grabbed one of those envelopes and I gently opened it up, making sure I wouldn't rip it up in the process. And I used it to trace the outline in a cardboard piece. And these are usually pieces from the back of any notebook pad, or some of them are even the backing that come when you purchase new stockings. You know, the little tougher paper where the stockings comes wrapped on. For some reason I decided to keep a few of those and I used them for this. And then all you have to do is cut out the shape that you just drew on the cardboard, and you have a template that you can use over and over again to create really nice envelopes. And this is actually something I quite enjoy doing, and I try to include as many different envelopes as I can. So if eventually someone sends me a differently shaped envelope, I will probably open it up and make my own template of it. Now, it's time to do some decorating. I randomly decided this would be the front of the project, so I needed a type of label where I could write something. And of course, I also needed some decoration. I tried different elements and die cuts from printables before I found something I liked. I kept reminding myself through this whole process that the goal is to use the things that I currently own. So a question for all of you. When you buy things and either it's in a pack or you download a printable and you print it out and it includes certain items that you're not really fond of, when do you feel okay either throwing them away or giving them to someone else? Because in my case, if I don't know someone well enough, I have a huge tendency to gift things that I like. So if I have papers or stickers or anything in my collection that I don't personally like, it's a little bit harder for me to just give them away. Meaning I will keep hoarding them until I am brave enough to do something about it. Do any of you have this issue? Or are you simply fine with sending things that you don't find so cute or that don't match your style to your pen pals? How do you deal with these things? Also, when is a scrap of paper too small or too broken to be used somewhere else? Because I keep thinking that, even if it's a little bit of a ripped piece of paper, I could probably still use it somewhere. Anyway, in the end, I used this label and some nice yellow flowers I had printed and cut around fall of last year. And I also added a die-cut girl that I got from one of FM Studio Art printables from quite some years ago. And once I decided on the place for all of these items, all I had to do was glue them up. Moving to another page, I did not want to add any extra pockets to the side with the house, since it could end up being too bulky, and this page already had a big pocket. As for the side that had the pink paper, I wanted to keep it simple. First, I just wanted to try out if I could make this page into a decorative page, so I tried a few of the different elements that I had taken out before, but then I thought that maybe I needed something different. So here I am going through more of my things and my stash, trying to get some more elements and really trying to figure out what I could do here. Again, I quite like the idea of a flip book with several different pockets where you can find different goodies or other little surprises. In the end, I picked up a card from the same collection that the main paper of this pocket came from, and I glued it like a little door that could be open to one of the sides. My idea here was to add a tea bag to the inner side of this little door, and if my Penpal wants to, she can just remove the card and use it for something else. I am a huge fan of reusing things that I got from my Penpals, and I try to create things that can also be reused by them. A good example of this is the next section I will work on. This collage that I'm adding here to create another pocket was actually a part of an envelope I received. I think we all have different ways to store our Penpal letters, and when I receive a letter, I like to create a spread in a binder with my favorite contents from that letter. I also write there some of my comments about what I received, what I sent, what we talked about. I think of it as a type of Penpal journal. This also means, at least for me, that I will not fill too much space with all the beautiful projects I receive, since space is a very limiting factor in my current living situation. And I get to reuse some of the bits that my Penpals created. It's like their art lives longer and will be able to be enjoyed by someone else. This also allows me to be able to remove the postage stamps that I received in the envelopes without any fears or regrets, since I do like to collect some of these, and maybe I can use the other ones in some crafting project. So out of curiosity, how do you keep your Penpal letters? Or any swaps that you receive? Do you keep them all in the same state as you got them? Do you use them in your own projects eventually? If you keep them all, do you have any issues with lack of space? I think I'm now happy with all the different places I can store some goodies, and the only thing missing is some extra decoration here, where it feels that it's kind of naked. So I added another piece of book page, a flower die cut, and a short quote. It is now time to clear up this mess and choose the goodies to send away. And finally here we have the envelope, the letter that I wrote off camera, and the flip book that we just created. I sent her some old book pages, of course. Then it was time to prepare the washi tape samples. She actually has a really nice collection of these, and she often sends me quite a few of them when she writes back, and I use them in my journal. I wanted to give her some of the washi tape that I used in this project, and then some other washi tape that I thought would kind of match the project style. At this point, I have no idea if I have sent her any of these before or not, but I'm not too worried about it, since I think it is perfectly okay to send repeated things to your pen pals. And here is where I made a mistake and completely forgot that I had two side pockets prepared for this washi tape. So just so you know, I have fixed this before sending her this letter. I have placed the washi tape in the side pockets instead, and here in this little card I've added a tea bag. Just as in my previous projects, I'm sending out one of my hydrangea sticker sheets together with other stickers. Some labels, and some press-on stickers. In the small envelope, I added some die cuts, And finally, on this last pocket, I included some of my paper die-cut hydrangeas, some more stickers, and a small art piece from a magazine. I had to trim this one quite a bit just to make sure that it would fit in the pocket. And this was mainly because I was too lazy to try to find something else to replace it, and I quite like this photo. So I trimmed around it as little as possible, but enough for it to fit in the pocket. Since this project got quite chunky, I opened it up to make the envelope a little bit more flat. And that is all. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like it, and if you want to see more videos like these, please consider subscribing. I hope you have a great day. Bye!